The sun dipped low, casting a golden sheen across the lake behind my house, its ripples whispering freedom. I stood on the shore, toes sinking into the cool mud, ready for a swim in the water I'd called mine for a decade. This was my sanctuary, my slice of paradise, untouched by the petty rules of the neighborhood's HOA, because I wasn't a member. Never had been. My property, a sprawling acre of wooded bliss, sat just outside their jurisdiction. Or so I thought. As I waded into the lake, the water lapping at my knees, a shrill voice sliced through the evening calm. "You're violating code," it screeched. I turned to see Karen, the HOA president, brandishing a clipboard like a weapon, her face twisted. With righteous fury, my heart sank. This wasn't just a swim anymore. It was war Karen. With her perfectly coiffed hair and a penchant for power, was infamous in our small community. Patrolled the neighborhood like a hawk, issuing fines for untrimmed hedges or mailboxes that dared to lean slightly askew, but I wasn't one of her subjects. My deed predated the HOA's formation, and my property line was a clear boundary they couldn't cross. Yet there she stood, on my shore, claiming I was breaking some obscure HOA rule about unauthorized lake usage. The absurdity hit me like a punch. "Karen," I said, keeping my voice steady, "this is my lake. I own it. I'm not in your HOA." Her eyes narrowed, and she jabbed a manicured finger at me. "We'll see about that," she hissed, scribbling something on her clipboard before storming off. The next morning, a certified letter arrived. My stomach churned as I tore it open. A $500 fine from the HOA for legal recreational use of a community water body. I laughed, then fumed. Community water body? The lake was entirely on my property, a fact confirmed by the survey I'd had done when I bought the place. I called the HOA office, expecting a quick resolution, but Karen answered with a smug, "Pay. The fine, or we'll escalate." Escalate? To what? I wasn't one of their cowed members, bending to her every whim. But the threat lingered, a dark cloud over my peaceful retreat. I decided to fight. I hired a lawyer, a no-sense guy named Tom, who specialized in property disputes. He reviewed my deed, the survey, and the HOA's bylaws, chuckling as he read. "They've got no leg to stand on," he said. "This lake's yours, and they're overreaching." He advised me to send a cease on desist letter, which I did, citing my property rights and demanding the fine be retracted. The response? Another letter from Karen, this time threatening a lien on my property if I didn't comply within 30 days. My blood boiled. A lien? On my home? For swimming in my own lake? The audacity was staggering, but so was the fear creeping. What if she could pull it off? The dispute escalated faster than I'd expected. Karen rallied her HOA board, a clique of loyalists who nodded along to her every word. They claimed the lake was a shared resource because it was visible from HOA properties. An argument so flimsy it was almost laughable. Almost. I started noticing strange cars parked near my driveway. HOA members snapping photos of my lake. Like it was evidence in a crime scene, my neighbors, once friendly, grew distant, whispering about Karen's crusade. The isolation stung, but the real blow came when I found a notice of violation tacked to my front door, accusing me of environmental endangerment for disturbing the lake's ecosystem. The fine had ballooned to $2,000. I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house felt like Karen's minions creeping closer, ready to slap another fine on me. Tom urged me to sue. "Take it to court," he said. "She's banking on you backing down." I wasn't so sure. Court was expensive, and what if I lost? But the alternative, letting Karen bully me into submission, was unbearable. So I filed a lawsuit against the HOA for harassment, defamation, and attempting to enforce illegal fines. The day I signed the papers, I felt a mix of dread and defiance. This was my home, my lake, my life. I wasn't going to let her take it. The courtroom was a sterile battleground, all polished wood and fluorescent lights. Karen sat across from me, her face a mask of confidence, as if she'd already won. Her lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit, argued that the HOA had a vested interest in regulating the lake for the community's benefit. Tom countered with, "My deed, the survey." and a stack of legal precedents showing the HOA had no jurisdiction over non-members. The judge, a stern woman with sharp eyes, listened intently, her expression unreadable. My heart pounded as Karen took the stand, spinning a tale of how my swimming was disrupting the neighborhood's aesthetic harmony. I wanted to scream. Aesthetic harmony? Was my lake? The turning point came when Tom presented a bombshell. Emails Karen had sent to HOA members, rallying them to teach me a lesson for defying her authority. The one email even suggested fabricating violations to pressure me into joining the HOA. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Karen's composure cracked, her cheeks flushing as she stammered through a weak defense. The judge's gavel silenced her. "Ms. Thompson," she said, addressing Karen, "your actions are an abuse of power and a clear attempt to intimidate." My chest loosened for the first time in months. I wasn't just fighting for my lakai, was exposing a tyrant. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal.